Guys, this is this is intense. Okay, so these are the concerns about the Titan submersible here. Is that there was an employee known as David Lochridge who brought to the attention some safety concerns, which were initially ignored. But there's a whole document we're going to go through here. Okay, so this is the court document for OceanGate v. David Lochridge. Defendants are citizens of the UK. Defendant, David Lochridge, extensive background as a submarine pilot and training of the same, including as qualified underwater inspector, trained to recognize flaws and points of failure in subsea equipment. That's his job. That's what he does. May 15th, Lochridge began working with OceanGate as an independent contractor. Lochridge and his family obtained visa status to legally work in the US. Based on OceanGate's representations, Lochridge uprooted his family and his life in Scotland and moved to the US to live in Washington State. Part of his job duties were ensuring the safety of all crew and clients during submersible and surface operation. OceanGate was in the process of developing an experimental submersible named Cyclops II, or the Titan. Titan utilized carbon fiber rather than metallic composition in its hull. As we know, they used also titanium. That was the end cap, the hemisphere. Okay, OceanGate intended the experimental Titan to carry passengers and dive to extreme depths of 4,000 meters, a never-before depth reached by OceanGate manned submersibles composed of carbon fiber. OceanGate held a meeting at its facility in Everett, Washington, to discuss the imminent handover of the Titan from the engineering department to Lochridge's operations. In attendance was the engineering director, manager, electronic lead. Okay, issues of quality control with the new submersible Titan were raised, as there were evident flaws throughout the build process that several individuals had expressed concerns over. The engineering director, Stockton Rush, asked Lochridge to carry out a quality inspection before the handover of the Titan. Lochridge was selected because of his experience, and he was the best man for the job. Lochridge worked on his report and requested paperwork from the engineering director regarding the viewport design and pressure test results of the viewport for the Titan, along with other key info. Lochridge was met with hostility and denial of access to the necessary documentation that should have been freely available as part of the inspection process. Okay, so, I was in the Navy, and I just want to highlight the importance of this. If you're in charge of safety and someone tells you to conduct the safety inspection, but they refuse to give you the inspection report, that's a little skeptical. They want you to essentially check it off and pass it so you can move on with operations. That's wrong, obviously. Okay, Lochridge first expressed his verbal concerns. They were ignored. So, OceanGate Cyclops II, aka Titan. He issued his inspection report January 18th, 2018. All right, so he's expressed his communication of concerns in this document. The inspection report identified numerous issues posing safety concerns and offered corrective action and recommendations for each. So his primary concern was regarding the lack of non-destructive testing performed on the hull of the Titan. Lochridge was repeatedly told that no scan of the hull or bond line could be done to check for delaminations, porosity, and voids of sufficient adhesion of the glue being used due to the thickness of the hull. Lochridge was told that no form of equipment existed to perform such a test, and OceanGate instead relied solely on their acoustic monitoring system that they were going to install in the submersible to detect the start of a hull breakdown when the submersible was about to fail. What? We don't even need to read the next paragraph, but we're gonna. What? So he said, your hull sucks. You need to figure out how to test it properly. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to put some sensors on it that'll be able to tell when it's going to fail. There's a big problem with that. Okay? 16. Lochridge, again, expressed his concern. This type of acoustic analysis only shows when a component is about to fail, often milliseconds before an implosion, and it would not detect any existing flaws prior to putting pressure on the hull. Clearly, given the prevalent flaws in the previously tested 1/3 scale model, and the visible flaws in the carbon end samples for the Titan, Lochridge again stressed the potential dangers to the passengers of the Titan as the submersible reached extreme depths. That's why he's not responding. He told these people not to use it, yet they went out anyway. And now, here we are. Non-destructive testing is critical to detect such potentially existing flaws in order to ensure a solid and safe product for the safety of passengers and crew. He knew there was a problem. They didn't listen. A meeting was called the following day, January 19th, 2018, In attendance were some pretty important people: CEO, Human Resources, interesting, and the Engineering Director, Tony Nissen, Operations Director, Scott Griffith, and Marine Operations Director, Lochridge. At the meeting, he discovered why he was denied access to this information. The viewport at the forward of the submersible was only built to certified pressures of 1,300 meters. Folks, they wanted to go down 4,000 meters, where the Titanic was. Unacceptable. OceanGate refused to pay for the manufacturer to build a viewport that would meet the required depth of 4,000 meters. It was out of pressure vessels for human occupancy standards. It was not viable for human occupancy. It didn't even meet minimum standards. The paying passengers would not be made aware and would not be informed of this experimental design, the lack of non-destructive testing of the hull, or that hazardous flammable materials were used within the submersible. Lochridge again expressed his concerns for the quality control and safety. He insisted that OceanGate perform non-destructive testing on the hull. He encouraged strongly they utilize a classification agency like the American Bureau of Shipping to inspect and certify the Titan. Rather than address his concerns or undergo corrective action, he was given 10 minutes to clear out his desk and exit the premises. Guys, this is intense. So it's a standard across the country. Many companies use this classification agency, like the American Bureau of Shipping, to inspect and certify submersibles prior to releasing them for use. They have an ABS rules and guides utilized to ensure quality assurance tests and satisfy industry standard safety. OceanGate refused both requests for non-destructive testing and to use a classification agency. They were unwilling to pay. Rather than addressing Lochridge's concerns, they terminated his employment to silence Lochridge and avoid addressing the issues. He was in good standing as an employee prior to this report. Man, that is intense stuff, okay? Okay, so that's pretty much everything on this document here, but it raises some major concerns. This device was not qualified to go out, yet he pushed it out anyway. If you caught my other video, you know he was wanting, Stockton Rush wanted to be innovative. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to do it in a way that protects people. You have to follow standards, and you have to do it the right way. There's a right way to be innovative, and the right way is to follow the certification standards for safety, basic safety. And he didn't do that. Okay, so we've got all that out of the way. Okay, y'all. So that's basically all I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to go over the OceanGate v. David Lochridge files and take a look at that, because that court document is very illuminating. He was fired by presenting the safety concerns to the powers that be. Of course, the OceanGate CEO. He was called to a meeting where HR joined. Why would HR join? Obviously, because he was going to be fired. So he was fired for raising safety concerns, and now this is where we're at. You know, it's a tragedy. It really is. It's awful. You know, people keep saying things like, oh, they got what they deserved, or you get what you pay for. That is not appropriate, okay? People still lost their lives. Families lost loved ones. This is real, okay? So try to have some respect. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for watching. Y'all stay frosty.